This is a new video series I'm attempting here. We're going to call it What's on the Bench. So, what's on the bench today is my 1965 Guild T-100D. This guitar has been through a few different changes over the years. I recently got it kind of like a birthday gift for myself. So I just wanted something, I wanted a hollow body. And I didn't want a hollow body with all the bells and whistles like a Gretsch. I also didn't want something new. I wanted something used, something more vintage, because I just think it's cool. Now, I bought this knowing fully well that it had some modifications done to it. And one of the biggest modifications is the pickups. I'm going to try to show you here what it has. It has a set of Lindy Fralin P90s. Now, the pickups sound great. I'm going to try to move the camera here, see if we can get a better angle. First time trying this camera, so I do apologize if it makes anyone seasick. One of the issues with P90s in general is, especially these, that you can't adjust the height. You can, but you're using shims, so even though you have the screws here, these screws that I know you can barely see, but there are screws there for these dog ears, they just hold them down. But what you can do is you could adjust the screws, and when I'm saying the screws, let me try to get this in frame here. I mean these screws here. So that's what we're going to try to do. Now, according to Lindy's site, what you want to do is you want to hold down, and this is the same for every pickup, how you get your height adjustment. You hold down the string at the last fret, and then you get a measurement. Now, for what Lindy's saying is that measurement should be a 1/16 of an inch. And we are not even on a good day. Oh boy. So we are fairly high. And I don't think we're going to be able to get the adjustment we want. So we're going to make some turns here, and I'm going to keep this simple. I'm going to do a half turn in on each screw. You're sitting there saying, well, why that? Well, why not? Because then you are the same distance on every screw. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is, playing this guitar, this neck pickup is boomy, and that's yeah, it is loud. It is in your face. It rattles everything when I play. So, I play mostly in my home, in my office. When I'm playing in my home office, and I hit a chord with this thing, it's like a cannon just went off. Now, the previous owner tried to make up for this difference by raising these screws. Now, I'm going to try to show you this again. If I make you seasick, I do apologize. If you can see here, these screws are really up there. Where these screws are, yes, I just sunk them in a little bit further, but they're really sunken in. Where these ones are very proud. So what I'm thinking here is, let's get a measurement here. And again, we want half an inch, or I'm not, sorry, half an inch, 1/16 of an inch. And this is about a 1/16 actually. These are a little bit closer. Not by much. This is also not the best gauge for this, so let me see if I have another gauge here. So the idea of this series is just to play around on my new bench, actually. My new workbench here, which I just got. I figure I needed this because really it's not difficult to work on my guitars, but the way I was doing it before was just it made a mess. We'll leave it at that. Um, I was working on my desk where I have my computer. I was constantly getting in the way, so that was not helping. All right, this actually has a 16th gauge here, and this is where it becomes a pain because you need to have this angled in a certain way. And again, now you can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to try here. Don't worry, I'll get this camera working right. So with that, we're at a 16th. Good. That we are getting closer to a 16th, but we're not there. So I think we're going to have to drop that other pickup. Yeah. Okay, so what we got going on here is this pickup is fairly good. The height on the lead pickup is fine. This one, let me double check here, and this is where it's a pain because I can't really get in there anymore. Actually, I think we're okay now. Again, this is never going to be perfect. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to balance out the sound. Now, I have a really, it's not the best setup for to play through in this room, but I have a little monitor that's plugged in, and we'll try to, yeah, now it's on. Alright, so that's both pickups. So, it still sounds like the neck pickup is loud. Not by much. But it's more balanced than it was. Before, like I said, you would play this thing and it would be booming all over the place. Anyway, this is this was me just putting together a quick video to see if this camera works. It's not really about setting up the guitar. This was just to see how well this works. I'm gonna post this on YouTube, and we'll go from there. It's. Let me just make sure the volume's all the way up here. Yeah. We'll go from there. And then I do want to put together another video this week, doing a pickup swap in my Strat, which is cool. I'll give you a full rundown of that guitar, and why I'm putting in new pickups. But we have a couple minutes here to kill, so why don't we talk about this? So again, 1965 Guild T-100D. The D stands for dual pickups. This is sometimes called the Slim Jim, and if you look, it is fairly skinny. Let me turn off this monitor because it gets loud. I bought it knowing that it had changes and modifications done over the years. What all those changes were, I don't know exactly. I can't say that the tailpiece is original. It could be. I don't think so. I think this is a more modern Guild tailpiece. I know for a fact the bridge and the bridge plate are not original. That's actually like a Godot. I actually had to modify this, and I'll try to show you here. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Try to show you here. But basically I had to cut down the bridge this way on both sides as well as in the middle because the action was too high. Now, it's not because of, yes, it has a very shallow neck angle. And it's funny because I have another Guild, an S100, so the SG like Guild, that has a similar issue where the neck angle is almost flat, and if you play it too hard, and I have a heavy hand when I play, the strings pop out of the bridge. That's also an original 1970s, something like that. It had some changes though, so I think what happened was they took the tailpiece and they moved the tailpiece back, and that caused the break angle on the bridge to change. But Yeah. So with this, like I said, it's a Japanese-made bridge. It's not a great bridge. It works though. It gets by, and it was too high. And I really couldn't take any more off of the base. I can a little bit, but actually the base fits the carve of the top so well, I didn't want to mess with it. I didn't want to sand it any more than I had to. So I cleaned it up and I modified the bridge to make it work. And it brought the action down to, I think it's coming up as medium low or low medium or something like that. I forget what the gauge said. But, it's right around, I would say maybe a hair above 2 millimeters on the base side and maybe a hair above 1.5 millimeters on the treble side. So it's not bad action at all. It's very playable. It's very comfortable to play. Um, the tuning machines have been changed. It's got Grovers on there now. This is what I bought it with. These Grovers are probably from the 70s, so they've been there a while. And it's funny because if you know, I think for a lot of people when they buy a vintage guitar, they strive on making sure everything's original. Um, and I get that, and I'm usually the same way. However, it's funny because there's a gentleman out there. He goes by Gad, and so if you're a guild guy, you know who I'm talking about. And he has a website, and very very detailed website. And I was talking to him about this the other day, and on the gear page. And it's funny because he mentions the original tuners on these guitars as being complete and total garbage. And they were. I've seen them. They look like what you'd find on a cheaper import guitar from the 70s. And I think they actually were, cheap import tuners. Why Guild used them, who knows? They were using Grover for a while, or they were using Waverly maybe as well. I forget. And they switched over to this cheap import style. And the only tuning machine I could find that may actually fit the original holes is a Kluson tuner made for Epiphones. So, and modern Epiphones. So I guess they try to come up with a slightly better quality. Look, the Grovers work. There's no point in changing them. They work fine, um, and they're probably just as they probably actually have some value to them as being as old as they are. So no point in changing them. The electronics were dirty. Nothing surprising there. I went in and I cleaned them all out. I had some problems with the pickup selector when I first got it. Again, the switch was fine. It was just the contacts were dirty, so I cleaned that up. The finish. I don't know if the finish is original. The guy who I bought it from says it was, but he wasn't the original owner either, so he was guessing. Um, I think it's a redo. I think it's a refinish. However, a couple people on the gear page said no, they don't think it is. They just think that that's the finish that Guild used back then. It's possible, but I don't care about that because it's fun to play. It's comfortable to play. It sounds great. It plays great. Um, really, yes, it's hollow by, so it's going to feed back with higher distortion, but it's not really designed for higher distortion. It's more of a jazz box. And it does it very well. It does blues great, and that's what I mostly play. Um, Other than that, I'll try to give you a quick overview. It's hard to show everything here with this camera, so we got to work on that. This has been it's been played. It's been well loved. It's been taken care of. It's never been abused. Yeah, someone did put in these pickups, and I will admit, when they put the pickups in, they kind of hacked up the holes. But I don't know if it was the store that put the pickups in that did the cutting to the top, or was it a previous owner and then maybe they try to put in humbuckers, because I think there was signs of what looked like humbuckers in there. I honestly don't remember, and even though this was a couple days ago when I took it apart. But I do believe they actually have additional holes where you'd have mounting rings. So basically, again, sorry, camera work. I believe there's extra holes here and here, same as in the back, for humbuckers, for the mounting rings of humbuckers. Which again, if this was a working musician's guitar, I get that. I understand why people make changes to guitars that are tools for the trade. And this is, I actually said this before in a gear page post. Same thing, which was there was one guitar that someone posted that was hacked up, refinished. It looked like they dragged it behind a truck, and it's a Guild Starfire 1, I believe, or Starfire 3. But if it came out of a working musician's, inventory, whatever you want to call it, and that was his main guitar, you kind of get the reasoning behind it. It's a tool, and if he needed, because it's got humbuckers now, if he needed humbuckers because that's what he was playing, okay. He needed a Bigsby, he needed this, he needed that, whatever. It was done because he had a requirement for that. The guitar is definitely road worn, but I prefer it like this. This is honest play wear, and you'll hear, oh, it's honest wear and this and that. I think when the guy sold it to me, he was talking about, oh, it's got mojo. Whatever. Someone played this guitar, someone enjoyed this guitar, and probably many people enjoyed this guitar over the years, and it was never beaten up. It was modified as things needed to be modified. So I'm assuming either the original pickups failed, died, or they just gave up and said, you know what, I need something else. I need something more powerful. I need something more whatever. I know that the pickups, because I actually have a bill from the store that did the pickups, they were put in about 20 years ago. So, yeah, they're not vintage, obviously not 20 years, but someone made a change in 2004 to put in these pickups. Why? Were they trying to get a different sound? Were they using it and they needed that different sound? So I don't know. But either way, the pickups sound great. Like I said, the biggest problem was this. The neck pickup was just so boomy. You couldn't put this in the middle position and not hear just the neck pickup. Hopefully this has balanced it out. If it hasn't, I will drop the screws a little bit more. But again, this video was not really to talk about this. This video is to talk about the camera and trying to get this camera set up. I'm still not happy with it, and I don't like the way how it's sitting there, so yeah. We'll have to work on that. But anyway, again, just wanted to see how the camera worked, putting a guitar on the bench and seeing what it does. So, yeah, that's the first video of what's on the bench, or what's on the workbench. We'll have to figure out what the name's going to be. And the next video will be my Paisley Strat, getting new pickups. So, if you got any questions, let me know. Thank you.